Hey everyone, Barfield here, and welcome to Writer's Corner. Alright, so this is going to be the last video I plan on remaking, at least until my standards inevitably change and I have to conform to them again. But until that, last video I'm remaking, and this is arguably going to be one of the most important videos I've ever made or will make, and it's also one of the most important things to consider and remember and to do whenever you're writing. So in this video, it's all about killing off your characters. So there are a few things I feel obligated to say after making that statement. First off, we're going to be talking about killing fictional characters, things that aren't real. I don't actually condone murder or violence or any of that nasty stuff, which means that you probably shouldn't go out and kill things that actually exist, even if it is for research. Second, killing off characters is incredibly important, and I cannot stress this enough. It serves so many different functions for your story and for character development. But Noah, how can I kill my characters? They're my babies. I love them so much. How do I kill them? It's easy. Stab them, shoot them, behead them, burn it with fire, use the elements, explosions, push them into a black hole, have them succumb to their inevitable depression. There are a lot of ways to be able to kill off your characters, even if you do love them. But I'll just leave that to you and your sick, twisted writer mind. No, this video is going to be about some of the do's and don'ts to consider whenever you're killing off characters, and then how you can distance yourself from them so that way you don't end up a crying, puddly mess on the floor. So first off, we have the do's. These are things that you probably want to at least consider whenever you're going to be killing off your characters. So the first one, plan it out ahead of time. So first, a couple definitions. Manslaughter is whenever you kill someone and you didn't mean to do it. Murder is whenever you kill someone and you planned or intended to do it. So the takeaway from this is going to be, make it murder, not manslaughter. Plan it out ahead of time. Don't worry, we all have those deaths that just creep up on us. Oh, I didn't know he was going to be consumed by a raging inferno. I didn't know she was going to be eaten by a dragon. I swear. We've all heard those before. It's happened. It's okay. But if you have an unexpected death that snuck up on you, you need to either do one of two things. You either need to remove that death from the story, or you need to systematically insert key points in your plot to make sure that this death makes sense. Killing off your characters is always going to be an incredibly important part of your writing process, and without fail, you should plan it ahead of time. The reader may not see it coming, but you should. Remember, make it murder, not manslaughter. So my second point is make sure that their death has an impact on your readers, and make sure that you know what emotion you want to elicit from your readers. So whenever you're planning this out, ask yourself a few questions. First, how much of an impact do I want this to have? What emotions do I want to elicit? How do I want this to affect everything else? How do I want this to change the mood of my story? How is this going to affect my narrative? What other implications is this going to have for the rest of my story? These are all great things to consider, and you definitely want to consider the emotions and impact on your readers whenever you kill off a character. And there are a few ways that you can make sure that this does have impact. If you're killing off a more main character or supporting character, protagonist of that sort, then you want to give them something to lose. Something that is going to happen that is bad if they die. Maybe if they die, then they're not going to be able to save a family member. Or maybe if they die, then the galaxy is going to be plunged into total chaos. Something like that. If this character dies, well then there's always going to be an unrequited love on the other side, and they're going to spend their entire life mourning them. Something needs to be lost for this to have an impact. Also, make sure that this is felt by other characters, but I'll get to that in a moment. Most importantly, make sure that you know what you're trying to do with this death. If you have a likable character, don't kill him off in just some half-done fashion. Make sure that it's done right. Give them the death that they deserve. Now, if this is a character we utterly despise and hate, but they just keep living because you're evil, then you probably want to do a couple of things. Either one, you want to give them this last shred of humanity before you kill them, making us doubt whether we actually wanted them dead in the first place. If we go back and read through, we know we want them dead, but just at that moment, just give us some doubt. Or you want to just satisfy the gratuitous bloodlust of your reader and kill them in the most painful way possible, which also works, but you need to make sure that you're not only planning for your readers, but also for your characters and their personality. So my third point is also about impact, but rather than just being on the readers, it's also about the characters. Make sure that this character's death, no matter how small or minor, has an effect on someone or something else. Make sure that it affects another character or a part of your world. For instance, whenever I was writing in Legendland, my main character, Mr. E, kills off this, very minor character. They only come in at once. It's in this populated city. He does it so that way he can feed the shadows and inhabit his body so he can gain more power, blah, 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 blah. But it's this very minor character. He doesn't think it's going to have any consequences. But after that, if the reader pays attention, there's more violence. Crime is on the rise. People are far more brutal to each other. There's a lot more distrust in the air. People demand safety, which allows one of my other characters to be able to usurp the throne. And directly, this affects that person's family members and friends, who plot revenge for years, and whenever Mr. E is at his weakest, it really comes back to bite him. So there are direct and indirect consequences, both relating to Mr. E and the characters that surround him, but also the wider world in general, and how, one brutal crime can really spark some changes that ripple throughout the entire country. And that's something that you can do, is make sure that maybe it doesn't have an impact right at that moment, but it's definitely going to later down the road. So now we move on to some of the don'ts. These are things that you probably definitely want to avoid doing whenever you're going about killing off all of your precious characters. So first off, don't kill just because you're bored. I know it's very tempting to do so. It's just like, oh man, I'm bored. This is getting very boring. And it actually can serve to spice things up if a character dies in the middle of an intense fight. But if you're bored and you haven't planned it out, don't do it. Point 2. Don't kill the character if they're just unnecessary. Like, oh man, this character isn't really serving their function, and halfway through the book you realize that this character's existence is just utterly pointless. Well, I mean, aside from the god complex that you're developing, you can't do that, because for half the book, we've still had to deal with an unnecessary character who shouldn't be there. And I know it may take some time, but if this character is useless, you have to systematically remove them from every part of the book, so that character just doesn't exist anymore. Killing a character just because they're unnecessary or you grow bored with them is not a solution. Well, I mean, I guess it is, but it's not a good one, and it should be avoided at all costs. Deaths should always have an impact and should always have a purpose. Killing someone because they're unnecessary or you're bored or you just don't like them anymore, if it's not done right, don't do it at all. And so my third point and my final point, just to keep in mind while you're killing off your characters, is don't kill them just because. Don't kill them just to spice things up or just because you need someone to die. It's like, oh man, I've gone this entire book and no one's died yet. I guess I should probably kill someone off. I'm talking to you, Marvel. This is a big no-no. You don't need to kill someone off just because someone needs to die. Don't just kill them just because. I mean, it may be fun, you may enjoy it, you may even get some sort of sick pleasure out of it, I'm not here to judge, but don't do it just because someone needs to die or you need to add some drama to it. There are plenty of other ways to do that without just pointlessly killing off a character. So my final thing before I start bragging about Legendland, and what you've all probably been waiting to hear just real quick, how do I distance myself from this? How do I not get so emotional and get all the feels from killing my characters? Well, for one, they're fictional people, so this is probably an underlying problem that you should deal with. Also, you should get the feels if you've done it right. You should get emotional whenever you kill off a character. If you've done the whole death thing right, this should be an emotional time, not only for the reader, but also for you. But a great way to distance yourself from this is to just turn off your emotions. Oh, you can't do that? Alright. Well, another great way is to make sure you've planned it out. This kind of gives you some time to reconcile yourself with their death. No, yes, this character is going to achieve an untimely end, and I'm prepared for that. Hold a little wake for him, I don't know, whatever you want to do. Give yourself time to prepare, and that helps whenever you're planning out your story. So whenever I was talking about planning out your character's deaths, that's not only just for your reader, it's also for you, to give you some time to mourn and to accept this loss that's inevitably going to happen. And now is the part where I brag about my book. This fantastic novel, Legendland, this thing right here, is available on a plethora of places. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, my publisher's website, Smashwords, iTunes, just a whole host of places. It's also available on my website, arc-storm.com, and if you order it off of there, I sign it for you because I like doing that for people. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and if you want to get in contact with me, head over to ArcStorm, send me an email, or just leave a comment below. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter, so you can hit me up there. I try and post regularly. I hope this has been helpful and that you've got something out of this. And just remember, make it murder, not manslaughter. Thank you for watching and continue to enjoy.